think it was painstakingly revealed by Durham. You know Durham, the Durham report. We've been waiting. Thank you, Durham. Thank you. Mr. Durham, we've been waiting, but he came out with a big one, and perhaps they're going to come out with a lot more, because this should be just the beginning. The Durham investigators that the Russia hoax was indeed a total scam made up by crooked Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. How would you like to have her as your wife? No, but think of this. I mean, Bill Clinton, he's living in fear. He's living in fear. No, think about an evil mind like that. To make up a Russia hoax. You know, I'll tell you a quick little story. Should I, or should I just go through it? But, no, it's just sort of crazy. I kept hearing the word, like, Russia, because during my campaign, before you heard about the so-called Russia hoax, people would come up with me and they'd say, sir, my campaign people, sir, do you ever hear anything about Russia? And I said, no, not really. I mean, Russia is Russia, right? They're ripping us off just like every other country in the world. Now, by the way, they're really ripping us because of what they've done with energy. They're making a fortune because of it. I ended the pipeline, and he approved it, but he knocked out the Keystone, didn't he, huh? But they say, sir, an innocent, young, great people, they love our country. Sir, another one coming up a couple of months later. Sir, did you ever hear anything? Do you know anything about Russia? No. Then a third one comes up a month later. Sir, do you have anything to do with Russia? No. After about 4 or 5 times, you know the way it is, I said, what the hell is going on with Russia? And that's what's going on with Russia. They made up a hoax, and we had to live with it for 3 years. What kind of a sick, perverted mind does that? And it was the lawyer and Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, they made it up. It was a hoax. And now they're doing it again with the January 6th, okay? They're doing it again. They're doing it again. We went through 3 years of hell battling this fake charge that was only allowed to happen because the media was complicit, as they always are for the Democrats. And it was totally criminal what took place. And I think you'll be seeing a lot of things about it. But this, in other words, it is officially now a hoax. Most of you knew that from the beginning. And you see this guy, Shifty Schiff, Adam Shifty Schiff. President Trump is a paid worker for Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Adam Shifty Schiff, and now he's doing it again. The same guy, the same face, that same watermelon-shaped face. You know, he wanted to be a part of the administration. They didn't want to put him in. I give my credit to Biden on that one. He's very, very disappointed about that. But the same guy that would get up at a microphone and say, President Trump's son is involved with Russia. I'd call, Don, do you have anything to do with Russia? He didn't know what the hell I was talking about. He thought I was crazy. Eric, and these are good kids. They work their asses off for the country, I want to tell you. What a shame. For 3 years we went through it, and now it's revealed that it was a total hoax. We knew it anyway, but now it's official. They said it's criminal. And it was paid for by the Democrats and paid for by Hillary Clinton and some others. The big Steele dossier, remember Steele? That was written, turned out to be a total fake document. They made up all the stories, thank goodness, because there were a couple in there that I didn't like. And the lawyers for the Democrat Party, Michael Sussman, he was just fired. And he was just fired and arrested for what he did. And you have another one, Mark Elias. He's no longer with Perkins Coie, which is the big law firm that the Democrats, I guess they probably got him the hell out of there because it was getting too hot. It's a disgrace.
Last week, Special Counsel Durham indicted Michael Sussman, an attorney for the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign. He was indicted for lying to the FBI. The indictment gives example after example of the Democratic Party's bag of dirty tricks. In September 2016, Sussmann met with the FBI's General Counsel, James Baker. At that meeting, he provided information and data files that allegedly contained evidence of a secret communication between the Trump Organization and the Russian bank Alfa Bank. The evidence, however, was fabricated. The allegations about the Trump Organization being linked with a Russian bank, these were false. The email server and issue was neither owned nor operated by the Trump Organization. But the lie in the indictment occurred when Sussmann allegedly told the FBI General Counsel that he wasn't providing the information on any client's behalf. He repeated the same to another government agency. Those assertions were apparently false. He was working for the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign. Now, interestingly, the indictment states that although Baker was allegedly unaware of the political affiliation of the information, starting in April 2016, Sussmann represented the Democratic National Committee and regularly met with the FBI. According to the indictment, the FBI failed to connect the dots. What Special Counsel Durham's indictment shows, in significant detail, by the way, are the steps that the Clinton campaign and her Democratic allies took to dirty up Trump, and did so with known false information. Time and again, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have cast false information against Trump to tie him to a foolish conspiracy that he's an agent of the Russian government. Time and again, when the evidence is made public, the Democratic Party is shown to be the master of the disinformation universe. And much of the so-called mainstream press fell for and peddled the falsehoods. What's wrong with our journalists being a journalist and investigating everything to the bottom rather than trying to not do their work and let people get away with this sort of action? Now, I'm going to take a few examples from the indictment. Notably, Sussmann was working with an unnamed executive at a technology firm that had been offered a position in the Clinton administration should she have won that election in 2016. The information compiled and analyzed the false Alfa Bank information, and according to the indictment, and here I quote, exploited access to non-public data at multiple internet companies to conduct opposition research concerning Trump, end of quote. To accomplish those ends, the executive enlisted, and I quote, the assistance of researchers at a U.S.-based university who were receiving and analyzing internet data in connection with a pending federal government cybersecurity research contract, end of quote. Now, amazingly, the indictment later says that the university accessed data of an unnamed executive branch agency through an unnamed internet company. That unnamed internet company possessed that data because it was a subcontract, quote, in a sensitive relationship between the U.S. government and another company, end of quote. Apparently, taxpayers unwittingly assisted the false information campaign used against Trump by the Democrats. I'd like to say that you can't make this stuff up, but that's exactly what they did. A researcher that worked to falsely connect Trump to Alpha Bank said this, quote, "We cannot technically make any claims that would fly public scrutiny," end of quote. They also discussed faking email addresses to try and beef up some bogus false connections between Trump and Alpha Bank. Even the unnamed tech executive eventually said the Alpha Bank data was a quote-unquote red herring. One email in the indictment even says, in part, "The only thing that drives us at this point is that we just do not like Trump. This will not fly in the eyes of public scrutiny." Folks, I'm afraid that we have tunnel vision, end of quote. They recognized that what they were doing lacked any factual support. Yet Sussman, the Democrats, and the Clinton campaign proceeded ahead anyway. Even more than that, Christopher Steele reportedly got his information about Alpha Bank from Sussman, and included it in the Steele dossier. The indictment clearly shows the depth to which the Clinton campaign went to smear Trump, smear with false evidence, and plan it with the liberal media, who then willingly ran with it and probably smiled as they ran with it. And here we are, years later, with a country that's been almost torn apart because the Democratic Party's fakes evidence against Trump. Special Counsel Durham stated on December 9th, 2019, in part, relating to the Justice Department's Inspector General's report on Crossfire Hurricane, quote, "Last month, we advised the Inspector General that we do not agree with some of the report's conclusions as to the predication and how the FBI case was opened," end of quote. Special Counsel Durham has had several years to investigate and bring a case forward. We've seen two instances where folks have been charged with a crime, one already pleading guilty. One must not forget the Obama, Biden, Justice Departments, and FBI's blatant misrepresentation to the FISA courts during the Crossfire Hurricane and other serious wrongdoings, much of which was uncovered by Congress and by the Inspector General. On June 29th of this year, Senator Johnson of Wisconsin and I asked the Attorney General Garland if he agrees with then Attorney General Barr's statement that any Durham report be submitted in the form that will permit public dissemination. On July the 13th this year, Attorney General Garland said that he agrees. Special Counsel Durham, let's see what you've got, and we'll be able to see it when the report comes out.